The spaceship Horizon moved slowly through the dark emptiness of space. Inside the bridge, Captain Daniel Brooks watched the stars outside the large window. He had been doing this job for 3 months now. His crew was making maps of this area of space, writing down information about every planet and star they found. It was quiet work, but Daniel liked it. After spending years in Earth's military, the peace of space exploration felt good. His crew was small but skilled. Each person knew their job well. Lieutenant Maya Jensen sat at the communication station. Her job was to listen for any signals or messages from other ships. For weeks, she had heard nothing but the normal background noise of space. Today was different. Maya's eyes went wide as she looked at her screen. Her fingers moved fast across the controls. Something was wrong. "Captain, we have something strange here," Maya said. Her voice was tight with worry. Daniel walked over to her station. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. "It's a distress call, sir. It's not from humans. The computer is trying to translate it right now." Maya pressed a few buttons. The emotional readings show extreme fear. Daniel felt his stomach tighten. A distress call out here, so far from any major space routes, meant something bad had happened. The speakers came to life. An alien voice filled the bridge. The words were broken and hard to understand as the computer tried to translate them in real time. "Anyone listening, please help us. They are killing everyone. Our station is under attack. Crew members are dying. We need rescue now. Sending our location. Please. We cannot fight them." The message ended with a terrible sound that might have been a scream. Then silence. Every person on the bridge stopped what they were doing. They all looked at Daniel, waiting for orders. Commander Lisa Hartley stepped forward. She was Daniel's second in command, a tall woman with sharp eyes who never missed anything. "How far away are those coordinates?" Navigator Ryan Murphy was already checking. His fingers flew over his control panel. 4 hours. If we go at maximum speed, Commander. Daniel thought fast. He knew the rules. Earth was still new to the galactic community. They had only been members for 5 years. The Galactic Council had many rules about what humans could and could not do. But those same rules said that all ships must help others in danger. Set the course. Get everyone ready for possible combat. Medical team needs to prepare for wounded. Daniel's voice carried through the ship's speakers to every room. Lisa moved closer and spoke quietly so only Daniel could hear. "Sir, we don't know what we're flying into. This might be a trap, or it could be something dangerous that the Council didn't warn us about." Daniel met her eyes. He understood her concern, but his decision was made. "We can't leave people to die while we worry about politics. Get the crew ready. If this is what I think it is..." They're about to see why the Council was nervous about letting humans explore out here. The Horizon's engines roared to life with more power. The ship jumped forward, moving at speeds that would scare most alien species. The crew moved through the ship, getting weapons and preparing medical supplies. They worked with calm focus, like they had done this many times before. Daniel pulled up information about the station that sent the distress call. It belonged to a species called the Valenti. They were peaceful traders who were known across the galaxy for being friendly and good at mathematics. Their station was called Haven 7. It was a stopping point for ships traveling through this part of space. "Captain, I'm picking up weapons fire at those coordinates," Maya announced. Her voice was more worried now. The energy readings match Krell Raiders. The name made everyone on the bridge look up. The Krell were pirates. They were cruel and attacked weak targets. A civilian trading station would be easy for them to attack. "How many ships?" Daniel asked. "Sensors show 3 Krell military ships. There are also smaller attack craft attached to the station. They're boarding it right now." Lisa checked her tactical screen. "We're just 1 ship, Captain. Even with our advantages, fighting 3 ships is risky." Daniel allowed himself a small smile. "Risky for them, maybe. Ryan, How many of our crew have combat training? 70% served in some kind of military before joining the exploration program, sir. We have former Marines, Special Forces, soldiers, and tactical officers. Good. The Krell are about to learn an important lesson about humans, Daniel said quietly. We don't abandon people who need help. And we really don't like bullies. The horizon kept moving toward the station, but now it was running dark. The ship's advanced hiding systems made it invisible to Krell sensors. They would not see the humans coming until it was too late. In the weapons room below, Lieutenant Kyle Henderson gave out rifles and armor to the security teams. The equipment looked heavy and basic compared to the fancy energy weapons that most aliens used. But the humans loading their weapons did so with expert hands. They had used these guns before. Remember, Kyle told his teams, most species out here have never seen real fighting. The Krell think they're tough because they attack civilians. We're going to show them what real soldiers from Earth can do. In the medical area, Dr. Patricia Wells set up her trauma center. She had treated war wounds before, back when she worked with emergency doctors in Earth's conflict zones. But this would be her first time treating aliens. She hoped the medical computer's information about alien biology would be enough. On the bridge, the horizon came close to weapon range. The Krell ships floated in space like hunters around their prey. Through the sensors, Daniel could see the boarding craft cutting into Haven 7's hull. Tell me how many living beings are still on that station, Daniel ordered. Maya worked her controls fast. About 300 Valenti crew members. Their life signs are getting weaker. I'm reading major injuries and loss of air on multiple levels of the station. How long until we reach them? 2 minutes. Daniel stood up and straightened his uniform. He pressed the button that let him talk to the whole ship. Everyone. This is the captain. We are about to fight enemy forces to save civilians under attack. You've trained for this moment. You know what to do. Remember that we represent Earth out here. Let's show the galaxy what that means. He turned to Lisa. The horizon stopped hiding. Every sensor on the Krell ships suddenly started screaming warnings. But before the pirates could react, the human ship fired its weapons. The galaxy was about to see what made humans so different from everyone else. The Krell thought they were the predators. They were about to learn they were wrong. The first Krell ship exploded in a ball of fire and metal. The second ship tried to turn and run, but it was too slow. Human weapons were different. They didn't use energy beams like most aliens. They used solid metal projectiles moving at incredible speeds. The Krell shields were designed to stop energy weapons. They did nothing against human railguns. On the Krell command ship, the captain watched his companion vessel die. Fear filled his chest. He had heard stories about humans, about the death world they came from, about their capacity for violence. He had thought the stories were lies meant to scare young warriors. He was wrong. All ships, retreat now. He screamed into his communication system. Recall all boarding parties. We're leaving, but the humans had other plans. They had come to rescue the Valenti, and they would not stop until every raider was dealt with. The horizon moved through space with grace and speed, firing with deadly accuracy. The second Krell ship lost its engines and began spinning out of control. Inside Haven 7, the Valenti were dying. The Krell raiders had broken through their defenses easily. The peaceful traders had no weapons, no training for this kind of violence. They could only hide and hope for mercy that would never come. Then, everything changed. The station shook from weapons fire, but not from Krell guns. These sounds were different, sharper, and more powerful. The Valenti trapped in the command center heard new noises in the corridors outside. Boots on metal floors. Sharp commands in an unknown language. The sound of fighting. Brief and intense. Then silence. The door to the command center opened. Figures in heavy armor entered, moving with military precision. They spread out, securing the room in seconds. One of them approached the terrified Valenti counselor and removed their helmet. A human face looked down at him. The human had kind eyes despite the weapon in their hands. "We're here to help," the human said through a translator. "You're safe now. The lover wake has nefered. The lover wake has nefered." The Valenti counselor could only stare in shock. They had sent their distress call, hoping someone might hear it. They never expected anyone to actually come, especially not these strange beings from the death world called Earth. The humans had arrived, and the Krell's reign of terror was over. The first Krell military ship never knew what hit it. The Horizon's railgun fired a solid metal rod. At extreme speed, the projectile punched through the enemy ship's shields like they were made of paper. Metal tore through the vessel from back to front, destroying everything inside. On the Krell command ship, Captain Vrek watched his companion vessel explode. His mouth hung open in shock. What kind of weapon was that? His sensor officer looked at the screen with confusion. Unknown, ship type. Energy readings, show. This can't be right, sir. Tell me, Vrek shouted, his fear making him angry. The computer says it's a human vessel. Vrek felt ice in his blood. He had heard the rumors in bars and trading posts across the galaxy. Stories about newcomers from a planet called Earth. They said humans came from a death world, a place so dangerous it killed most visitors within hours. They said humans had thick bones and heavy muscles to survive crushing gravity. They said humans fought wars among themselves with a brutality that made Krell raids look gentle. He had laughed at those stories. Now he wasn't laughing. "Break off the attack immediately," Vrek ordered. "Call back all our troops from the station. We're leaving this sector right now." But the human ship had different ideas. Commander Lisa Hartley watched her tactical screen with cold focus. "Target their engines only. Disable them, but don't destroy. We need prisoners for the Council authorities." The Horizon moved through space with impossible speed and grace. The ship twisted and turned in ways that should have crushed everyone inside from the force. But the humans simply gritted their teeth against the pressure. Their bodies, built for Earth's heavy gravity, handled the stress easily. Any other species would have been turned to liquid. Precise fire shot out from the horizon. The second Krell ship lost all power to its engines. It began tumbling through space, helpless. Inside Haven 7 station, Counselor Tresh of the Valenti people huddled in what remained of the command center. Dead crew members lay around him. The Krell had shown no mercy during their attack. Tresh had sent the distress call knowing no help would arrive in time. This sector was too remote. Help was hours away. The door to the command center began to shake. The Krell were breaking through. Tresh closed his eyes and waited for death. Then the whole station shuddered. New sounds echoed through the halls. Weapons fire, but not Krell weapons. These were sharper, followed by sounds Tresh couldn't identify. Lieutenant Kyle Henderson led his security team through Haven 7's damaged corridors with military precision. The humans moved in tight formation, their combat armor sealed against the station's failing air systems. They carried various weapons. Some used magnetic accelerators. Others carried plasma rifles. A few had old-style guns that used chemical explosions to fire bullets. Most species had stopped using such primitive weapons thousands of years ago. "Enemy spotted, right side," Sergeant Nicole Bryant called out. Her rifle was already aimed at the targets. 4 Krell raiders came around the corner with their weapons ready. They stopped when they saw the armored humans. That moment of surprise cost them everything. The humans fired as one unit. The Krell didn't have a chance. Unlike most species in the galaxy who viewed combat as something formal with rules, humans had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of war. They knew how to kill quickly and efficiently. "Area clear," Nicole reported calmly. "Moving toward command center. Intelligence says there are survivors there." The team continued forward, leaving the dead Krell behind. They met 2 more groups of raiders. Each time the result was the same. Fast, brutal combat that ended in seconds. Tresh heard the final alarm as the door was about to break. He pressed himself against the far wall. The door exploded inward, and armored figures rushed through. But they didn't shoot at him. Instead, they spread out through the room, checking every corner, with movements so quick and coordinated they looked like a dance. One approached Tresh and took off their helmet. The Valenti counselor saw a human face for the first time. It was strange but not frightening. The eyes pointed forward like a hunter's eyes. The skin was a light brown color. Despite holding a weapon, the human's expression showed concern. "Counselor Tresh?" Kyle asked, his words translated by a small device. "I'm Lieutenant Henderson. From the Earth ship Horizon. We got your distress call. Can you walk?" Tresh stared, his mind trying to understand. "You came, but the Krell are learning a hard lesson right now," Kyle said with a grim smile. "We need to get you and your crew off this station. How many survivors are there?" "See, I don't know. So many dead. The raiders were everywhere. Not anymore. Can you access your station's computer system?" With shaking hands, Tresh turned on the command console. The display showed something impossible. Throughout the station, Krell boarding parties were running away, chased by human security teams. The raiders were leaving their weapons and wounded behind in their panic to escape. In the docking bay, Corporal Andrew Shaw and his team blocked the Krell's escape route. The raiders came out of the station in disorder, expecting to reach their small attack craft. Instead, they found humans waiting for them. "Drop your weapons," Andrew ordered, his rifle pointed at the lead raider. The Krell commander hissed and raised his weapon. Andrew's shot hit him in the chest and the alien fell. The other raiders, seeing their leader die, immediately threw down their weapons and surrendered. On the Horizon's bridge, Daniel watched the battle end with satisfaction. 2 Krell ships disabled, the third trying to run away, but moving slowly with damaged engines. The boarding parties were captured or dead. "Captain, we're getting a transmission from the surviving Krell ship," Maya said. "Let me hear it." The view screen showed Captain Vreck's face. The Krell looked terrified. His usual confidence was gone, replaced by pure fear. "Human ship, we surrender. We didn't know this was a protected station. We meant no harm to Earth." Daniel's face remained cold. "You attacked civilians. It doesn't matter if they were protected by Earth or not. You will shut down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. We surrender," Vreck said again, his voice high with panic. "We know the stories now. We know what your kind can do. Please. We give up." Lisa glanced at Daniel, confused. "What stories is he talking about?" Daniel shrugged. "Seems our reputation is bigger than we thought." Maya. "Contact the council authorities. Tell them we have prisoners. Ryan, work with the station crew to coordinate rescue operations." Over the next 2 hours, the Horizon's crew worked to save Haven 7. Human doctors moved through the station, treating wounded Valenti with gentle hands. The same hands that had killed raiders minutes before now carefully bandaged injuries and administered medicine. Engineers fixed hull breaches and restored the life support systems. Counselor Tresh watched in amazement. These creatures from Earth worked without stopping to save his people. He had heard rumors about humans coming from a death world that shaped them into something dangerous. A species that combined kindness with terrible capacity for violence. As Dr. Patricia Wells treated his wounds, Tresh asked quietly, "Why did you come? You barely know my people. Your species just joined the council." Patricia looked up from her medical scanner. "Because you needed help. That's enough reason. But the danger was acceptable. Where we come from, counselor, we have a saying. The only thing necessary for evil to win is for good people to do nothing." She smiled gently. "We're not always good, but we try to do the right thing when it matters." In the Horizon's prison cells, captured Krell sat in silence. They had expected to be killed, in revenge, for their attack. Instead, they received medical treatment, food, and cells that were secure but not cruel. One young raider spoke to his companion in their own language. He didn't know the humans had translation devices. I don't understand. We killed their allies. Why do they show us mercy? An older Krell, his body covered in scars from many raids, answered grimly. Because they're more frightening than we imagined. They don't need to prove they're dominant through cruelty. They already know they've won. News of what happened at Haven 7 spread across the galaxy at faster than light speed. What started as a simple pirate raid became something much more important. It was the first real show of human military power outside their home system. In the council chambers on Unity Station, the leaders of galactic civilization held an emergency meeting. Representative Jara of the Palenti delegation watched the combat footage with growing worry. The humans had moved with speed and accuracy that seemed impossible. Play the boarding action again, Jara requested. The chamber watched as human security teams cleared Haven 7's corridors. What shocked everyone wasn't just how good they were, it was how easily the humans worked in conditions that would have killed most species. They fought in sections with no gravity, in rooms leaking air into space, in radiation levels that required emergency medical care for most galactic citizens. The humans just sealed their armor and kept going. Look at their stress readings, said Counselor Dren, a military expert. Their heart rates barely increased during combat. Either they have amazing training, or their ability to handle stress is beyond our understanding. Our understanding, probably both, muttered Ambassador. First, the old diplomat had served for 3 centuries. He thought he understood all species. Humans confused him. The Council's military advisor spoke up. The real question is whether this is a threat to peace in the galaxy. We let humanity join based on their technology and peaceful intentions. Nobody expected this level of combat skill. Jara showed a video of a human medic treating both Valenti civilians and captured Krell raiders with equal care. Their capacity for violence is matched by their capacity for mercy. That's rare in young species. It's their world, First said quietly. I've read the survey data on Earth. Class 12 death world, barely safe for life. Everything on that planet evolved to kill. The humans didn't just survive, they became the top predators of an entire world of predators. The chamber fell silent. Every species there had evolved on peaceful worlds where cooperation gave them advantages. Earth was different. Earth was a forge that hammered its children into something new. 3 days after the rescue at Haven 7, a council investigation team arrived at the station. They were led by Magistrate Vorin, a Quellan judge known for following the law strictly. The team had military analysts, legal experts, and medical examiners from many different species. Captain Daniel Brooks met them in the station's repaired conference room. Commander Lisa Hartley and Lieutenant Kyle Henderson stood beside him. Magistrate Vorin was small compared to humans, but his multiple eyes gave him an imposing presence. Captain Brooks, Vorin began, his translator making his voice sound formal and crisp. This inquiry is not a trial. However, you must cooperate under council law. Do you understand? Yes, Magistrate. Good. Let's begin with your first attack. Your ship fired on Krell vessels, without trying to communicate or give warning. Explain this choice. Daniel kept his voice steady and calm. The Krell were actively raiding Haven 7. Our sensors showed ongoing casualties among the station crew. Every second we waited meant more deaths. Trying to talk to them would have given them time to finish killing everyone or escape. Yet council rules clearly state that all fights must be preceded by an attempt to communicate. With respect, Magistrate. Those rules were written for normal diplomatic situations, not active combat, where civilians were being murdered. Vorin made notes on his datapad. You claim the situation required immediate deadly force. Yet our analysis shows your weapons include non-lethal options. Why weren't these used? Why? Lisa stepped forward. Magistrate, may I address that? Our non-lethal weapons are designed for human biology. We had no reliable information about their effectiveness against Krell raiders. Using untested weapons in combat, where lives were at stake, would have been irresponsible. One of the military analysts, a Therion officer named Commander Jex, spoke up. The combat footage shows your boarding teams using chemical projectile weapons. These are considered primitive by modern standards. Why not use energy weapons? Kyle answered. Sir, we carry energy weapons too. But chemical projectile weapons have advantages in close quarters combat. They work in different atmospheric conditions. They don't need recharging. They're effective against many different threat types. In a situation where we didn't know what we'd face, having versatile weapons was important. They also cause much more tissue damage than standard energy weapons, Jex noted. They stop threats quickly, Kyle replied without hesitation. Every raider we stopped was one less danger to the station crew. The questions continued for hours. The investigation team examined weapons logs, medical reports, and statements from both human crew and Valenti survivors. As the day went on, Daniel began to notice a pattern. They weren't really investigating whether the humans broke rules. They were investigating what humans were capable of doing. During a break, Dr. Patricia Wells approached Daniel in the hallway outside the conference room. They're scared of us, she said quietly. I know. Not just scared. Terrified. I reviewed the medical team's analysis of human biology. They're studying us like we're weapons. Daniel sighed. Can you blame them? Look at it from their view. We come from a world that would kill most of them in minutes. We handle injuries that would cripple them. We fight with efficiency that suggests violence is natural to us. Is it? Patricia asked. Natural, I mean. I don't know anymore. We like to think we've moved past our violent nature. But days like this make me wonder. We're very good at this kind of thing. The next part of the investigation brought testimony from Counselor Tresh and other Valenti survivors. Tresh stood before the panel with quiet strength. His injuries were still visible despite Patricia's excellent medical care. Magistrate Vorin, Tresh began. I understand the Council's concerns, but I must speak clearly. Without Captain Brooks and his crew, I and 297 of my people would be dead. Nobody questions the outcome, Counselor, Vorin replied. We question the methods. Then question them while looking into the eyes of families who still have their loved ones because of those methods. Tresh's voice had an edge now. The Krell weren't interested in talking or surrendering. They wanted to steal and kill. The humans understood this immediately and acted accordingly. You're suggesting humans understand violence better than we do, Vorin observed. I'm suggesting they have a more realistic understanding. We've lived in peace so long we've forgotten that evil exists in the galaxy. The humans haven't forgotten. Maybe they can't afford to. Later, the investigation team questioned captured Krell raiders. The pirates cooperated, especially when they realized humans weren't present. Tell us about the human assault, Commander Jex asked a Krell soldier named Skarn. Skarn's body shivered. It was like nothing I'd experienced. We've raided dozens of stations. We've fought security forces from many species. They all tried to capture us, not kill us. They followed predictable patterns. And the humans? The humans were hunting us. Not capturing. Not restraining. Hunting. They moved through that station like they designed it themselves. They knew where we'd be. They cut off our escape routes. Every fight lasted seconds. We'd turn a corner, and they'd already be aiming at us. How did they know? Jex looked at his notes. Our analysis suggests extensive combat experience and superior tactical training. It's more than training, Skarn insisted. It's instinct. They're predators. We thought we were predators. We were wrong. The medical examiner, Dr. Sheen from the Palenti species, reviewed human medical files with growing concern. Magistrate, I must share something disturbing. The human medical records show a species fundamentally different from anything in our records. Explain. Dr. Sheen showed a holographic comparison. Look at their heart. 4 chambers capable of activity levels that would cause system failure in most species. Their muscle density is nearly twice the galactic average. Their bones can withstand impacts that would break ours. This is known. Earth has high gravity. It's more than gravity, Magistrate. Look at their immune system. They live with bacteria and viruses that would kill most of us. Their bodies are constantly fighting their own biology. Even their healing speed exceeds our standards by 3 times. Vorin studied the data carefully. What are you suggesting, Doctor? I'm suggesting humans are naturally weaponized. Every system in their body is designed for survival in an environment hostile to life. They're not just adapted to violence. They're built for it at the cellular level. Vorin was quiet for a long time. This information cannot become public. The Council is already worried about humanity. This would cause panic. With respect, Magistrate, the truth tends to come out. Perhaps it's better to share it in a controlled way. On the horizon, the crew waited for the investigation to end. In the ship's recreation area, several crew members talked. "I don't get it," said Private Jake Morrison, one of the younger security members. "We saved lives. Why are we being treated like criminals?" Nicole, cleaning her rifle, answered without looking up. "Because we scared them. Not the Krell, the Council. They're realizing that letting us into the galactic community might have been a mistake. That's crazy. We're not bad people." "Depends on perspective," Corporal Andrew Shaw said, from where he reviewed tactical data. "Think about it from their view. A new species appears, barely 5 years in the community, and shows military ability that exceeds anything they've seen in centuries. We're an unknown factor in a carefully balanced system. So what happens if they decide we're too dangerous?" Jake asked. "Then we deal with it," Nicole said simply. "Humans adapt. It's our best quality." Maya entered the room looking troubled. "You should all know something. I've been monitoring communications. The inquiry team is sending regular reports to Unity Station. The political situation is getting worse. There's talk of restricting human exploration rights. Some even want to revoke our council membership." "They can't do that," Jake protested. "They can do whatever the majority votes for," Maya replied. "And right now, fear is powerful." Daniel stood in Haven 7's observation deck, looking out at the stars. Counselor Tresh joined him, moving carefully because of his healing injuries. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Tresh said, pointing at the view. "The galaxy at peace. Or, at least, the appearance of peace." "The Krell showed that peace is sometimes an illusion," Daniel replied. "Indeed. But it's an illusion my people have treasured. The Council maintains order through agreement and economic connections. Violence is rare because the costs of violence outweigh the benefits. Until it doesn't. The Krell proved that." Tresh nodded slowly. "Yes. And your people proved something else. That violence, when necessary, can be a tool for good. That's a lesson the Council doesn't want to learn." "Why not?" "Because it challenges everything they've built. The galactic order is based on the belief that civilization has moved past the need for warriors. Then humanity arrives, civilized and cultured but capable of terrible violence. That belief is challenged. We're not warmongers, Counselor. I know. I've watched your crew these past days. You're healers and explorers as much as fighters. But you are fighters when needed. And you're very good at it. That combination threatens the established order. So what happens now? Tresh sighed. The investigation will conclude that your actions were effective but concerning. There will be recommendations for restrictions and monitoring of human ships. The Council will debate. Factions will form. Eventually, a compromise will emerge that satisfies nobody but maintains the appearance of control. You sound negative about it. I'm old, Captain. I've seen this before, though never exactly like this. New species join the Council. There's an adjustment period. Eventually, everyone finds their place. But humanity doesn't fit any existing place. You're forcing the galaxy to create a new category. That makes everyone uncomfortable. We didn't ask to be different. No. The question is whether the galaxy can adapt to that difference, or whether fear will drive us apart. Magistrate Voren delivered the investigation findings in the same conference room where everything had started. The air felt heavy as Captain Daniel Brooks, Commander Lisa Hartley, and Lieutenant Kyle Henderson sat waiting for what felt like a judgment. Captain Brooks, Voren began, after extensive review of the Haven 7 incident. This panel has reached several conclusions. First, regarding your actions. While certain aspects violated the letter of Council rules, we find they did not violate the spirit of those rules. Your primary goal was saving lives. In this, you succeeded admirably. Daniel felt some relief, but Voren's face suggested there was more coming. However, the magistrate continued. This incident has revealed a significant concern beyond individual actions. Humanity as a species possesses military capabilities far exceeding what the Council expected when approving your membership. This represents a destabilizing factor in galactic affairs. Destabilizing how, Magistrate? Lisa asked. Commander Jex responded. Your vessel, the Horizon, is classified as an exploration ship. Yet it demonstrated combat effectiveness equal to our dedicated military vessels. If this represents your civilian capability, the Council must assume your military capability is much greater. We haven't hidden our capabilities, Daniel pointed out. All our specifications were submitted during the membership application. Specifications on paper are different from seeing them in action, Voren replied. Witnessing human combat effectiveness has caused the Council to reassess its understanding of your species. Dr. Sheen, please present your findings. The Palenti medical examiner activated a holographic display showing human biology in detail. Captain, your species exhibits biological characteristics that, when combined, create what can only be described as a naturally optimized combat organism. Your strength, endurance, healing rate, and stress tolerance all significantly exceed galactic norms. We evolved on a difficult world, Daniel said carefully. That shaped us. But it doesn't define us. Perhaps not, Doctor. Sheen agreed. But it concerns us. Combined with your species' documented history of warfare and rapid technological advancement, a pattern emerges that the Council finds troubling. You're afraid we'll become conquerors, Lisa said directly. Voren didn't deny it. History teaches us that species with overwhelming military advantage often use that advantage. We would be careless not to consider this possibility. Kyle spoke up, his voice hard with anger. With respect, Magistrate, we just saved 300 lives. We captured raiders instead of killing them all. Even though that would have been easier, we've treated prisoners humanely and cooperated fully with this investigation. What more proof do you need of our intentions? Enisa. End. We've said end of phase. We've treated prisoners humanely. One incident, Lieutenant, however praiseworthy, does not define a species' character. We need to see consistency over time. How much time? Daniel asked. We've been peaceful members of the galactic community for 5 years, and you've been a spacefaring species for less than a century. Voren replied. Forgive us if we remain cautious. Most species take thousands of years to reach your current technological level. Your rapid advancement suggests an aggressive, expansionist nature, or an innovative one. Dr. Patricia Wells, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. Magistrate, I've spent the past week treating Valenti wounded. Do you know what I learned? Your medical technology is centuries ahead of ours in some areas, but you've barely advanced in trauma care because you rarely need it. We excel at trauma care because we've had to. Our innovations come from necessity, not aggression. Dr. Sheen nodded. This is an insightful observation. Human medical techniques for treating severe injuries are remarkably advanced. You've clearly invested significant resources in this area. Because we hurt each other, Patricia said quietly. Throughout our history, we fought wars. We had to learn how to heal our people afterward. It's not something we're proud of, but it made us good at healing. Vorin studied the humans before him with his multiple eyes. For a moment, Daniel thought he saw something other than fear in the magistrate's expression. Maybe understanding. Captain Brooks, Vorin said finally, this panel's official recommendation will be presented to the full council within the week. Unofficially, I can tell you that restrictions will be proposed on human exploration and military activities. Some factions want your species limited to your home system until the council can better assess your long-term intentions. That's unacceptable, Daniel said, his voice carrying an edge of steel. We've committed no crimes. We've broken no laws. You can't imprison an entire species because you're afraid of what they might do. Can't we? Vorin asked. The council's primary directive is maintaining galactic peace and stability. If humanity represents a threat to that stability, then you'll create the very conflict you're trying to prevent, Lisa interrupted. Do you really think humanity will accept being caged? We've explored our entire solar system. We've established colonies on 3 planets and a dozen moons. We've sent ships to neighboring star systems. You can't put that drive back in a box. Commander, are you threatening the council? Jex asked sharply. I'm stating a fact. Humans don't respond well to arbitrary restrictions. We'll push back. That pushback will be seen as aggression, which will justify more restrictions, which will lead to more resistance. It's a cycle that ends badly for everyone. The room fell silent as everyone considered Lisa's words. Finally, Vorin spoke again, his tone thoughtful. Dr. Sheen, in your medical analysis, you noted that humans exist in constant managed conflict with their own biology. Is it possible this same principle applies to their society? The Palenti physician thought about the question. It's an interesting idea. Humans do seem to need challenges, even creating them when none exist naturally. Their sports, their competitive businesses, their constant drive to improve and innovate. It all suggests a species that requires opposition to function optimally. So give us opposition that doesn't involve war, Daniel said, seeing an opportunity. We're explorers, scientists, builders. Yes, we're good at fighting, but we're good at other things too. The Council wants to see what humanity can be? Give us challenges worthy of our capabilities. After, Endweath. Such as? Vorin asked. The galaxy isn't as peaceful as you pretend, Daniel replied. The Krell aren't the only raiders. There are regions of space too dangerous for most species to explore. There are worlds that need terraforming. Rescue operations that require capabilities most species don't have. Let us be useful instead of dangerous. Maya, who had been following the discussion through her communicator, rushed into the room. Captain, I'm sorry to interrupt. We're receiving another distress call. It's from the Taraxis mining colony, about 6 hours from here at maximum speed. What's the situation? Daniel asked. Unclear. The transmission is badly damaged, but they're reporting some kind of catastrophic system failure, environmental collapse, possible casualties. Vorin raised a hand. Captain, you are still under investigation. You cannot simply leave to respond to another emergency. Magistrate, with respect, people are dying. Investigation or not, I'm not going to sit here while we could save lives. This is precisely the kind of unilateral action that concerns the Council, Jex said. You make decisions based on your own judgment, regardless of authority or rules, because sometimes authority and rules move too slowly. Daniel shot back. How long would it take to get Council approval to respond? An hour? 2? How many people die in that time? Vorin and Daniel locked eyes. In that moment, the magistrate saw something he recognized, despite the alien features. The look of someone who had made hard choices and would make them again, regardless of consequences. If I authorize your vessel to respond, Vorin said slowly, Will you accept council observers aboard for the operation? Absolutely. You want to see what humanity can do? Come watch. 2 hours later, the Horizon left Haven 7 with 3 council observers aboard. Magistrate Vorin, Commander Jex, and Dr. Sheen were now passengers. The ship accelerated to speeds that made the Therian commander grip his seat. The humans around him seemed unbothered by the forces pushing on their bodies. How do you tolerate this acceleration? Jex asked through clenched teeth. Practice. Navigator, Ryan Murphy replied. And bones that evolved to handle Earth's gravity. This is uncomfortable, but manageable. Maya worked her communications console, trying to contact Taraxis colony. Still no response, Captain. Last transmission indicated total environmental system failure and hull breaches in multiple sections. Time to arrival? 4 hours at current speed. The colony has about 2,000 inhabitants. Mixed species. Taraxis is a heavy gravity world, higher than galactic standard. Most species there require environmental suits, even under normal conditions. Dr. Sheen pulled up colony data on her tablet. Taraxis is a mining operation. They extract rare elements from the planet's core. The colony is built into the planetary crust for protection against surface conditions. If the environmental systems have failed, they're buried in a tomb, Patricia finished grimly. Captain, I'm reading about Taraxis biology and environmental needs. Most species there can survive maybe an hour in the planet's native atmosphere. Some less. Perbling. Lessons of Screed. We Campton Yuan, and Lessons of C. We Campton U10, then we get there faster. Ryan. Maximum acceleration. Sir, that will push the ship beyond recommended stress levels. The ship can handle it, so can we. The Horizon surged forward. Vorin watched the crew work with growing respect. They moved with precision and efficiency. Each person knew their job and did it perfectly. There was no panic, no wasted motion, just focused competence. Captain, Vorin said quietly, I begin to understand something about your species. What's that, Magistrate? You thrive in crisis. While other species would be paralyzed by pressure, you become more focused. Daniel nodded. It's the death world factor. On Earth, crisis was normal. Our ancestors, who couldn't handle stress, died before having children. We're literally descended from survivors of countless disasters. And now you bring that trait to the galaxy, Vorin observed. Not as conquerors, but as rescuers. We can be both, Magistrate. That's what scares the Council. But we choose what we are by our actions, not our capabilities. 3 hours later, the Horizon arrived at Taraxis to find disaster. The colony's main dome had suffered catastrophic failure. Toxic atmosphere was flooding the inhabited sections. Emergency doors had sealed automatically, but they were only buying time. I'm reading life signs in 12 separate sealed sections, Maya reported. But the seals won't hold forever against the pressure. We have maybe 90 minutes before the first ones fail. Lisa brought up tactical displays. The colony's emergency transporters are offline. We'll need to physically extract survivors from each section. In that environment? Jex asked, looking at the planetary data. The atmospheric pressure alone would crush most species' environmental suits. Good thing we brought humans, Kyle said, already putting on his suit. Patricia, what's the medical situation? Multiple casualties in every section. Chemical burns from atmospheric exposure. Crush injuries from the initial failure. Probably respiratory damage. We'll need to sort patients on site. For treatment priority. Vorin watched the humans prepare with amazement. They were about to go into an environment that would kill most galactic species in seconds. And they approached it like routine work. Captain, my people couldn't attempt this rescue, he said quietly. Quellan physiology can't withstand those conditions, even in environmental suits. I know, Magistrate. That's why we're here. The rescue operation began with brutal efficiency. Lieutenant Kyle Henderson, led teams into the failing colony. They moved through sections where the atmosphere was so thick you could see it. The air was full of particles that would have destroyed most equipment. The humans' heavy-duty suits handled it easily. Their strength let them move debris that would have required power equipment for other species. Dr. Sheen went with Dr. Patricia Wells and the medical teams. She watched in amazement as the human doctor worked in conditions that would have killed most medical practitioners. They stabilized victims with injuries that should have been fatal. They used techniques that seemed impossibly aggressive. "You're applying direct pressure to a therion's cardiac chamber," Sheen said at one point. "That should cause system shock." "It will if I do it wrong," Patricia replied, her hands steady despite the chaos around her. "But if I don't do it, he bleeds out in 30 seconds. Trust me." The Therion survived. In Section 7, Corporal Andrew Shaw's team got trapped when a secondary door failed. The toxic atmosphere rushed in. For a moment, Commander Jex thought the humans were doomed. Then he watched as they simply sealed their suits, adapted to the new environment, and continued their rescue work. "They're not even bothered," Jex said to Vorin, who was monitoring from the horizon. "Because this is what they do," Vorin replied, with something like wonder in his voice. "They adapt and survive." 6 hours later, every survivor had been brought to the horizon. Patricia and her medical team worked without rest, treating injuries. The engineering crew set up temporary living spaces for the refugees. Daniel stood on the bridge, exhausted but satisfied. They had saved everyone who could be saved. 1,700 lives pulled from certain death. Vorin approached him. His multiple eyes reflected something Daniel hadn't seen before. Respect. "Captain Brooks, I came on this mission to observe human behavior under stress, to gather evidence for the Council's discussions. I have done so. And your conclusion, Magistrate? That the Council's fears are both right and wrong. Humanity is indeed dangerous, but not in the way we imagined. You're dangerous to comfort, to the pleasant illusions we've built about the galaxy being safe and orderly. You remind us that the universe is hostile, and survival requires strength. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?" "Both," Vorin admitted. "The Council will not like my report. I will recommend against restrictions on human activities. I will face significant opposition, but I will also recommend something else. That the galaxy needs humanity. Not despite your capacity for violence, but because of how you use it. You fight chaos with order. You fight danger with courage. You fight death with an absolute refusal to give up." Daniel held out his hand, a human gesture of respect. After a moment's pause, Vorin gripped it with his primary appendage. "Thank you, Magistrate. Don't thank me yet, Captain. The fight in the Council chambers will be harder than anything you face today. But I'll stand with you. Unlast, because I've seen what your people can be when given the chance." 2 weeks later, Daniel stood before the full Galactic Council at Unity Station. The chamber was filled with representatives from hundreds of species, all waiting to hear the verdict on humanity's place in the galactic community. Ambassador First called the session to order. "We have reviewed the reports from Magistrate Vorin regarding the incidents at Haven 7 and Taraxis Colony. The floor is now open for debate." Sunskaler, Well 47. For hours, the Council argued. Some called for severe restrictions, painting humanity as a threat. Others, including Councillor Tresh and many of the Taraxis survivors, spoke passionately in defense of Earth's people. Finally, Ambassador First called for a vote. The chamber fell silent as each species representative registered their decision. The results appeared on the central display. By a narrow margin, the motion to restrict human activities was defeated, but a second vote followed immediately. A proposal to establish a new council division, the Emergency Response Corps. It would be primarily staffed by humans and other species capable of operating in extreme environments. The vote passed with overwhelming support. Back on the horizon, the crew watched the proceedings through live feed. Daniel smiled tiredly. We're not conquerors or warriors. We're rescuers. I can live with that. Captain, Maya said. We're receiving a message from Unity Station. It's a distress call from a research outpost in the Mordax cluster. They're requesting human assistance specifically. From Murdoch. Losing logs. Of course they are, Lisa said with a grin. We did just prove we're the best at this. Set course, Daniel ordered. And send our acceptance. The galaxy needs us. Let's show them what humanity can do. As the horizon turned toward its new destination, Counselor Tresh sent a private message to Daniel. You asked what the galaxy would do with a species like yours. Now we know. We'll rely on you to go where others can't. To do what others won't. To be the shield against chaos. It's a heavy burden. The floss. The 1-4, Daniel typed his reply. We've carried heavier. We're from Earth. We were born for heavy burdens. The ship jumped to faster than light speed, carrying Earth's children toward their next rescue. Their next chance to prove that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their capacity for violence. It was their absolute refusal to abandon those in need. Far from the horizon, in the council chambers, debates continued about what humanity meant for the galaxy. Some still feared them. Others admired them. But everyone now understood them better. The Valenti counselors stood before a small group of representatives who had voted against humanity. You fear them because they're different. Because they're strong in ways we're not. But I stood in that station while Krell raiders killed my people. I watched humans risk their lives to save us. They didn't have to come. They chose to. They're dangerous, one representative insisted. Yes, Tresh agreed. But so is fire. And we don't fear fire when it warms us and lights our way. We only fear it when we forget to respect it. Humanity is the same. Respect their strength. Honor their courage. But don't cage them out of fear. Because the day may come when you need them, and you'll be very glad they're free to help. On a remote trading station, the merchant captain Nix gathered his crew. He had been considering raiding a poorly defended outpost. The profits would have been significant. Change of plans, Nix announced. We're going legitimate. Full legal trade from now on. His first mate stared at him. Why? We've made good money in the gray areas. Nix pulled up the footage from Haven 7. Because the galaxy has changed. The humans are here now. And if we cross the line into real piracy, we might find ourselves facing them. I've seen what they do to pirates. I'd rather stay on their good side. Similar conversations happened across the criminal underworld. The Krell had learned a lesson at great cost. Others learned from watching. In a medical facility on Unity Station, Dr. Sheen presented her findings about human biology to a group of galactic physicians. The room was quiet as she explained what she had learned. Their entire evolutionary history prepared them for crisis. She concluded, where we evolved cooperation in peaceful environments, they evolved resilience in hostile ones. Where we optimized for efficiency and intelligence, they optimized for survival at any cost. The result is a species that excels in exactly the situations where most of us fail. Should we fear them? A young doctor asked. Dr. Sheen thought carefully before answering. Fear, perhaps, but also appreciate. I watched a human doctor save lives I would have declared unsavable. I watched human rescuers work in conditions that would have killed me in minutes. They have gifts we lack. Just as we have gifts they lack. The question isn't whether to fear them, it's whether we're wise enough to work with them. On Earth, in the halls of the planetary government, officials gathered to discuss the council votes. The room was divided between celebration and caution. They've accepted us, one official said happily. They've found a use for us, another corrected. That's not the same as acceptance. An older woman, a veteran of Earth's last wars, spoke up. It's a start. They feared us because they didn't understand us. Now, They're beginning to. We've shown them we can be trusted with power because we use it to protect, not to conquer. That's more valuable than any treaty. And if they turn on us later? Someone asked. Then we deal with it, the veteran said simply. But I think we've started something good here. We've shown the galaxy that strength and compassion aren't opposites, that the same hands that can destroy can also heal. That's a lesson Earth learned through blood and tears. Maybe we can teach it to the stars without them paying the same price. Aboard the Horizon, as the ship traveled through the strange realm of faster-than-light space, the crew settled into their routines. In the recreation area, some played games. In the medical bay, Patricia cataloged new alien medical data. In engineering, teams performed routine maintenance. And on the bridge, Daniel sat in his captain's chair, looking at the star charts of their destination. The Mordax cluster was known for spatial anomalies and dangerous radiation. Most species avoided it. Humans were going there to help. Lisa approached with 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Daniel. Thinking about the future? Always, Daniel admitted. We've bought ourselves time and opportunity, but we'll be watched closely. Every action we take will be judged, every decision analyzed, so we make sure our actions are worth judging favorably, Lisa said. We keep being the people we showed them. Rescuers, explorers, problem solvers. And if that's not enough, then we adapt. It's what humans do best, remember? Daniel smiled and sipped his coffee. Through the viewport, the strange colors of faster-than-light travel swirled and shifted. Somewhere ahead, people needed help, and the horizon was on its way. Behind them, the galaxy was changing. Slowly, reluctantly, but changing. Humanity had forced that change simply by being themselves, by refusing to be anything other than what they were, strong when strength was needed, gentle when gentleness served better, always adapting, always surviving, always pushing forward. The children of Earth had come to the stars, and the stars would never be quite the same. In the years that followed, the Emergency Response Corps would grow. Humans would serve alongside brave members of other species who could handle extreme conditions. They would save thousands of lives. They would explore regions of space thought too dangerous. They would build stations in impossible locations. And slowly, very slowly, fear would give way to respect. Respect would give way to friendship. And friendship would give way to trust. But that was the future. In the present, the horizon raced toward people in danger. Its crew, ready to risk everything to save strangers, because that was what humans did. That was what made them special. Not their strength or their violence or their resilience, though they had all of those. What made them special was their choice to use all that power in service of life, not death. That was the lesson Earth's children brought to the galaxy. And it was a lesson the galaxy desperately needed to learn.